Streamcast.
Hey yo, welcome to another edition of the Streamcast. I'm your host, Blackamora, and today we're doing things a little bit differently. We're still getting very cool guests on, but we're kind of moving away from the gaming scene for this episode and taking things to another place that I love, manga. Now, if you know anything about me, you know that I love a good shonen. I love my Hunter x Hunter, I love my Full Metal Alchemist, but not every shonen manga can be a hit. For every hit, there has to be a flop. And that's where my guests today come in. The amazing duo, David and Jordan of Shonen Flop.
Hey, what's up? Yo.
How's it going, guys?
It's going good. I think that's the first clapping introduction I've ever had on a recording I've been with. Maybe it's great.
It's going to sound amazing in post-production.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah, do a little golf clapping with one hand because I broke my stand right before we recorded. So, you know.
I actually had the same pop filter, and then I had to send it back because I physically couldn't see my screen and like my notes if I used it because it was like my microphone's right here. So imagine that, and it's literally like blocking about 70% of my monitor. If I use it. So I told our audio guy, I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't use this pop filter because I physically can't see my notes when recording.
See, I have 3 monitors, so when I use this, I just have to set it up so that I can't see anything out of that monitor. So I just got these 2.
Lucky righty.
That's Jordan's way of bragging that he has 3 monitors.
Oh well. Yeah, I got 3 monitors. Yeah.
So humble
Yeah. I'm so cool. So damn cool. 3.
I wish I could be cool with 3 monitors, like Al Gore.
Does Al Gore have 3 monitors?
Yeah, he has like a super desk. I don't know how well that transfers over. Is Al Gore a part of British pop culture at all? Like, do you know about? Sorry if that's really stupid to ask, but I just don't know. He was relevant about 20 years ago.
David, Al Gore is one of the most famous comedians in America, and for some reason has a much larger popularity in England.
Oh, so he's the Jerry Lewis of England.
Of England, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll try and be good. This is my
legit though. Legit question? Do you know who Al Gore is?
I just don't want to assume that he knows.
No, I'm asking legitimately. I don't know. Do you know who Al Gore is, or is that just completely a bizarre reference?
I will say yes, but only because of South Park.
Yeah, that's great. That
fine.
was pretty great.
That's fine.
When I love how they were straight up like, okay, Al Gore was actually completely right about global warming, and they had to apologize to him.
Anyway, but oh man, my favorite shonen manga, the Ben Shapiro guided.
My favorite mangaka.
We did actually have for our best of the year award. We did have most libertarian manga as a category.
Yeah, Ben Shapiro probably did write Tokyo Shinobi Squad.
Oh God, should we dive into talking about that one?
I love talking about Tokyo Shinobi Squad so much.
Oh God, yeah. So Jordan, why don't you take things away?
Well, actually, I was hoping that we could introduce what you do to our viewers and listeners who might not be familiar with
I'm sorry.
Shonen Flop.
I am Ben Shapiro, and this is my wife, Dr. Jordan Shapiro.
I'm his doctor wife. Yes.
It really works that Jordan is also a girl's name.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Can't assume this day and age.
Okay. But I'll actually.
So was David though. So yeah. So we're Shonen Flop, and we cover manga that got canceled in Shonen Jump, and not canceled in the Twitter sense, but canceled in the sense that nobody read it or liked it, so they stopped printing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so cancelled in the Netflix kind of way.
It's so to give an example of an interesting series we've read, A Gravity Boys is about a bunch of teenage boys that go discover a planet, and at the end of the series, the author knew who was getting canceled, and so he said, "I don't really care anymore. I'm going to make it that one character has gotten so in tune with his penis, he can now use penis magic, and his magical penis takes the form of like, you know, in Bleach, how like your spirit, like how Ichigo looked like this badass old man. It's the same thing, but the guy says, I'm your penis. And we're like, oh, it's his Donkai. And so literally he has an air powered penis. And there's an elemental chart of how different penises And one character, it turns out he has the omni penis, which allows him to control the power of all penises. And he gives up his life to save the planet. Jordan's nodding because everything I'm saying 100% is true about what
He
happened
didn't
in
make
this
anything
manga.
up. The only thing he made up is the term donkai,
Yeah,
which
everything
doesn't
else.
appear.
There's literally a penis elemental chart where you have wind penis, fire penis, holy penis, light penis, dark penis.
Dark penis?
Dark.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And I think one of my favorite panels is everyone has like a representation of their penis as like a person, but the manga is like, we got canceled, so we don't have time to say whose penis spirit is whose. You can try and figure it out. And it's just a group shot. And you see like burly guys, a dude on fire, like a midget. And it's like, and we're just like, it's pretty great because you kind of guess whose penis is who.
The best
Like-
part, there's one penis familiar who's just so large he's out of frame.
Yeah. So anyway, A Gravity Boys is unironically a series I would recommend for people to read because it was actually really funny even before it got into penis.
Yeah.
culture.
I can't understand why that got cancelled.
I don't either. Just
Insane.
Japanese audiences weren't ready for it.
I mean, here's the thing. I kind of can because it is so insane, and it is also there is like very little consistency. It's kind of hard to follow. Like I'm shocked. Like David was able to describe the plot by basically not describing the plot because nothing that happens in that last arc matters with the plot because there's barely any plot.
Yeah.
But the thing is you can get away with anything in a gag manga as long as you're funny. Like who gives a
Sorry, we can talk about your gravity for a while because it's
Yes,
one of the
it-
few good things we read this year or last year, but we can certainly dive into it. But for other examples of work, it's really cool, by the way, how we get to read lesser known manga by really successful authors. Like, for instance, the creator of Naruto, the creator of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, the creator of My Hero Academia, all had failures. And so it's really interesting to see where they came from. Like, actually, our current episode is going to be on Tista, which, Jordan, I think you could agree isn't that great, but it's actually by the creator of Spy Family.
Yeah.
I think one of the most interesting examples actually is a series called Instant Bullet, which is perhaps one of the most edgiest teenage, like, oh, life sucks, I want the world to end. And it sucks, except there's a 3-chapter period where the main character has to go on dates with this magical witch lady in high school because she enrolled to hang out with him. And that part's really good. And then it turns out, you know what the guy made afterward? He made Love is
Dragon
War.
Ball Z.
Yes, Dragon Ball Z. And then after that, he made Love is War, where literally they were like, his editor was probably like, hey, people actually like these 3 chapters where it was just people dicking around in high school. Just make a manga out of that. And it's really cool to see the initial ideas that turn into the successful series that these authors later make.
I mean, that makes sense. It's all works of art. Manga is another form of art.
That's not true. There's definitely there are some that are not works of art.
I mean, you know,
I mean, the genre as a whole.
Oh, okay. I
mean,
would
look-
not say what Zon is art when I'm pretty sure you would be like, this is not bad if you thought a 14-year-old made it. And then you find out like an adult and you're like, how did this get published?
So
Like, if you have a second, just Google Zon manga and be like, how was this published in Shonen Jump? The same
Is that-
magazine Dragon Ball Z ran.
Z-O-N.
ZAN. Well, you
Yeah,
know,
ZAN.
we're talking about art. David went to business school, but I went to art school. And here's the thing. I would say that Zon is art because I think that people discount how terrible a lot of art is.
That is
Like
true.
saying, "Oh, this is art," doesn't imply, "Oh, this is good. This is
True.
worth seeing." No, Zon is art. It just sucks.
It does
It's
make you feel
just
something.
terrible.
Yes,
It
you're right.
does.
Art. I'm surprised Jordan again. It says art is supposed to make you feel something, and it made me feel disappointment. Really?
See, I didn't feel super disappointed because we read that dude's previous manga called SWAT,
Yeah.
which is about as bad. It's actually very difficult to determine whether Zon or SWAT is worse for me.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
They're terrible. But I also wanted to talk a little about Tokyo Shinobi
Oh fuck! I forgot
Squad.
we were supposed to talk about Tokyo Shinobi Squad.
So the Tokyo Shinobi Squad is like the definition of a so bad it's good manga.
Yeah.
I hesitate to call it fully good. It's in the same way where like if you've ever seen an 80s Stallone movie, they're really bad, they're honestly pretty racist, but so stupid that it's like you can't even get mad. You're just like, what the is this? It's just like, this is so stupid. Like, Tokyo Shinobi Squad it starts out with them explaining, it's the future, and we have created an ultra hyperloop. Like, basically, you know how in Futurama people get sucked into tubes and they just like show up in other places? It's basically that, but worldwide.
Yeah.
But they're like, but that means that bad guys can come into Japan, the evil immigrants. And then there was literally like the first line that we hear from the main character, who's this badass named Narumi Jim, or Jin, or Jim Naruto, as we call him.
That's what we call it, Jim Naruto.
He says, so much for globalization.
Yeah. I want to say, by the way, Jordan is actually downplaying it. It literally says, because of the increase in immigration, Japan now has the highest crime rate of any country in the world. It explicitly says because of immigration, the crime rate has gone.
Wow.
Yeah, it is terrible. It is no metaphor. It straight up says immigration causes crime.
Oh my god, it is abysmal, but it's also
that's
Jordan,
right-wing propaganda.
Jordan hasn't even told you the best part. There is a town that everyone who lives in this town is a terrorist. It's literally a terrorist town.
It's literally terrorist town. They, like, towards the end, they're like, all right, guys, you have to go in here. But don't worry, by the way, if you accidentally kill anybody, they're all terrorists in this town. So like every single one, like they just like everybody's a terrorist.
And it also has dumb that's not even racist. Like Mr. T and Sia just show up as bad guys. That's it. It's just Sia. Sia, like the hair. It's just her. She just is a bad guy in this manga.
Literally Sia. Just bizarre. Just a bizarre manga. But what's interesting to me about it is, God, the more I think about Tokyo Shinobi Squad, the more insane I remember. Like, remember when like that woman was just like running on a treadmill and a dude runs in and fires a rocket launcher at her?
Yeah,
that was just like insane, stupid. But what's interesting is that like the format, where, because the main plot of Tokyo Shinobi Squad is that we follow this kid named N or Ein, who like winds up meeting this cool cop named Jim Naruto, of course, and just the cop just recognizes, oh, you're cool. Yeah, man. You know what? You've had a tough life. How about you join up with us and we'll show you how cool things are. And then and then like they go on like a couple missions, and you really just feel like, man, I wish these guys were my older brothers. And what I've noticed is that a lot of the canceled manga we read and dislike follow that exact plot. Like it's bizarre. It is a common thing. Like, let's see, Aliens Arena 64. It's Aliens Area, but it's hard to say that without saying Arena. Aliens Area, that is one of them. That's the one I thought of. Oh man. Oh yeah, Super Smartphone. That follows it.
Oh yeah, you should tell them what the character's main attack is in that series.
Super Smartphone. Okay, so the premise of Super Smartphone is
you just sound like excited Jordan is to talk about this.
It's like it was written by a guy who was like, man, I kind of want to do Death Note, but like not as edgy, you know, like just not as like good. Intense. Which, you know, that's good, right? Okay. So he put out this thing where this guy, his name is Q, by the way. I don't know if that is across the pond, if you know why that's Q? His name is Q. He's uncuffed, and he gets this literally super smartphone that can look up any information possible. So what he does, and he does this constantly, is that he will use his super brain to know exactly what to search on the Mega Smart Engine, which, by the way, is called Goo Goo Goo.
Yeah.
Well,
Google
I mean,
actually exists in that universe. They mentioned Google.
Yeah, this
So
is
this-
what's
Goo
the
Goo Goo.
point? What's the point?
But
I
wait,
thought the joke was they're trying to parody
Yeah.
Google. What's the point if Google exists in
I
that
don't know.
world?
And they'll go on like GooTube and stuff.
yeah, like, but the point I'm trying to make is that basically all he does, instead of writing in the death note to kill someone, he'll figure out who it is and call the cops.
Yeah, he calls the cops at least like 3 times.
That's basically his power. His superpower is figuring out who the bad guy is and calling the cops. He's basically a Karen. That's essentially what that series is about.
Yeah, he's just
Death
like in the
Note
bush,
Karen. Literally though.
Yeah.
I've read
God.
some bad manga, but I think that's the worst I've ever heard.
Oh, there's worse. That's not even like not even like bottom
No.
10 percentile.
It's not. It's not. It's definitely not good. But you read it. I honestly felt like it was more of a parody of manga, like unintentional completely.
Yeah.
But it was hilarious in that sense. Like there was enjoyable aspects of it, unlike many of the things that we read. Like David, what's like a true bottom of the barrel trash?
I think Build King is the safest because the worst thing we've ever read, you really have to explain why it's so bad. Build King, first of all, has art. It's by the guy who made Troikyo and
Toriko.
What I don't get, the dude who made it, first of all, was
but
arrested for soliciting a child prostitute.
Yeah.
So you are carte blanche to on him as much as you want.
Yeah.
Second of all, the art style literally looks like, you know how like Western artists, when they try and draw an anime parody, it just looks really weird.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like that. It literally looks like a Western person, but this dude is Japanese. And then the plot makes no sense. And they have, I know
Power
you're a fan of
system.
Hunter x Hunter, but
Power
get ready for
system.
this. This is
Yes!
the worst power system I've ever seen.
Yes.
The power system is colors. There's no thematic. It's just literally colors. So you can have red energy, blue energy. And it's about building houses. And somehow there's a magical energy system. What is
Based around I think it was based around the color that you painted the houses
or something?
I don't know, but go ahead.
Let me ask you this, my friend. What is the problem with your power system being explicit colors in manga?
The fact that manga is traditionally printed in 2 colors. Well, what?
Yes,
Black
it's
and
a
white.
black and white medium. So now you need to be able to tell all of these arbitrary shades of gray apart and know what color they are. And it gets better. About a chapter after they set up the system, we start seeing colors that aren't in the system. They say, this guy has rainbow power. This guy has black and white power. This guy has gray power. And so they're like, great. It's literally like in the second, like the chapter after they explain Nen, they say, oh, this guy has double deluxe Nen. It's not even in the system. This guy has invisible Nen. And you're like, wow, I hate this series so goddamn much. That is
What's
like
the
the most
point?
quintessential really bad series. And it took a lot to read something worse, where I honestly, Jordan, think that what we currently say is the worst series, besides one part of it, is not as bad.
No,
And
I
it has
completely agree.
Jordan.
But it's just a really, really
and so this is by the
bad
artist
thing.
of Death Note. And Jordan, what's the thing that makes this series the worst thing we have ever read, despite being, besides if you took this element out, actually not being atrocious?
All right, so let me set up the premise. It's called School Judgment. It's basically Phoenix Wright in middle school, which I think is actually a part of Phoenix Wright at one moment, but no, so like you hear that and you're like, oh, well, that's all right. I mean, that could be good. That could be boring or something. And then chapter 2, the principal starts like ogling this 12-year-old. And then the manga starts partly being about how hot the 12-year-olds are.
Yeah. I will just the look on your face. There is a offer comment where he explicitly said, I want to show this 12-year-old physically developing, so I told the artist to make her breasts increase over time during the series.
Can't imagine why that one got cancelled.
This is the only series where a guest said, I don't feel comfortable continuing because there is a pool scene.
Yeah.
That is exactly what you think, except every character in that pool scene is 12 years old.
Yeah.
And that's why it's the worst thing we've ever. It won, of course, most libertarian manga, but that's the thing. Like, and again, it's and the worst part is it's drawn beautifully. It's by the artist of Death Note, but he just drew a bunch of pedophilic material.
It's just you did a good job. I just don't want to see it. Like what the fuck? Why did you use your effort on this, man?
It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, the series isn't very good otherwise, but it would not be the worst thing we've ever read if it wasn't for the fact that it's literally a manga for pedophiles.
Yeah.
Or a manga for pedophiles.
Yeah. And, by the way, I'm sure you're worried that it's hard to find. No, it's right on the Shonen Jump
and
app.
it's also fully officially translated.
Yeah.
You can just go
find this
and read School Judgment. No problem. There's no disclaimer saying, hey, this manga sexualizes 12-year-olds a lot.
Like, I have an issue with that because I'm a normal human being, but I would understand if Shonen Jump wanted to put that on their app or whatever, if they put the trigger warning, right? Some readers are just going to be like, right, no. But it's just A-okay to read, like it's a normal Wikipedia article.
I've actually thought about messaging my friend. We've had a guest on who works for Viz and be like, dude, do you know this doesn't have a disclaimer about the pedophilic content in it?
I think you should. Because I think a lot of these mediums, they get away with stuff because the appropriate controls aren't in place. So like gaming, my kind of area of expertise, got away with a lot of because it wasn't seen as valuable as troublesome as TV or film until maybe the 80s or the 90s. And now you've got age rating on games now. So maybe manga just needs someone to be like, hey, this is kind of up.
Exactly.
Just putting it out there. Maybe don't sexualize 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
Hot take.
I honestly, I feel like, unfortunately, Shonen Jump views that as an integral part of their history. I don't know. Like I remember looking up what was in the first issue of Shonen Jump, and one of them was just like, oh, it's an Arrow manga in an elementary school. Great.
There was one manga that literally was so ecchi that Shonen Jump had to take it out in the main magazine called Ashiagi Triangle or something.
Oh,
and
wow.
I was like, okay, how bad can this be? And then I read a chapter and it literally shows a 16-year-old girl masturbating in the shower. It's not as a joke. It's like a joke. It's like I don't even remember the concept. It was like a ghost walked in on her and they're like, what are you doing? And she's literally masturbating in the shower. That's it. That was the joke, is that someone walked into her. I was like,
I mean, Araki did the same thing at Stone Ocean.
Well, Jolene was definitely over.
I'm kidding. Yeah,
she went to. No. She's definitely.
She was in jail. Yeah. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. But yeah, so I see why Shonen Jump at least cut that from the main publication.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you gotta go that far for them to cut you, though.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I mean, so let's get into your origin story. I know we're a few minutes into this, but this is a great idea. And when it was actually Hassan who put me onto you guys, when he told me about the concept, I thought that's really cool because I love stuff like One Piece. I think there are some successful manga that maybe should have been in the flop pile. But what was it that got you thinking, hey, you know what? It's not out there. Manga reviews. Let's do that. How did you, come up with that idea and come up with a concept?
So, I will take full credit because it was 100% my idea, and then I was like, I think Jordan would be a fun co-host. So I'm not gonna be modest. Jordan can agree that's literally the truth. I had this.
No, it is. He came up with it. Yeah.
So I was reading a manga called Zip Man, which is not very good, but it had really great art. And I read 7 chapters of it. It's by the assistant of My Hero Academia. So if you like his art,
dope.
but instead he's drawing robots, it's actually pretty. The art is beautiful. It's worth reading for the art.
Yeah.
Everything else is not good.
It's
and
short,
I was reading it, and I was like, okay, I've had my fill of 8 chapters of really nice art, whatever. And then a few months later, I was kind of like, oh, I wonder what happened to it. And I found it got canceled. And I said, oh, I wonder, no one's ever going to talk about the series ever again. I wonder how many series there are like Zip Man where it got canceled and people just kind of forgot about it. And let's see, are any of these any good? Spoiler alert, they're not, but it was still like maybe Jordan and I thought maybe we'd have like a 50% rate of series that we wish hadn't been canceled. And so I just thought, I was like, Jordan and I have known each other for 15 plus years. And and so I was just like, I think this is a really cool idea. It was COVID, that's when you make a podcast, right? It's COVID. You don't have anything else to do. It was like May 2020. So like, there's nothing else to do. So we just did it. And first episode was on Zipman because that was really the series that inspired it. And then, that's really just been it. We've just kept trying to find other series, and we actually have a small team, which is now really awesome. So I want to give a big shout out to Tucker and Maxie B. Tucker is someone who approached us. He was my coworker, and he said, "You pronounce the name so poorly. I will give you pronunciation tips and research for like what titles mean." And then later on, we had a guest, Maxie B, who is literally a manga historian. He's also they're also British, by the way. So just people, British people that love manga are always very based, as I like to say. And so literally they give us information, and it's really cool. So like, for instance, we were reading a series, and you're like, did you know that this author was high school or went to the same high school as this author? Or this person was this person's assistant and stuff. Like, for instance, are you familiar with Fairy Tale?
Yeah.
Did you know he has never been the assistant? He has no formal art training. He is 100% self-taught. And literally, he learns from his assistants that did go to art school and incorporate their techniques into his art because he has no formal education.
That's pretty cool.
So, and that was awesome. Maxie B literally did their research and just let us know. So we always, every episode, have about 5 minutes where we just talk about the research Maxie B has done on that series. And so it's just really awesome to have these people helping support the show and really just make it a really interesting deep dive, not only as a critical review, but also factual about the series itself.
Maxie B is great. And I will say Tucker's great too, but David still mispronounces.
Oh, I'm sorry. I do.
You heard him try and say Toriko.
I don't need to respect a series created by a pedophile.
No, but I mean, if you say Troiko, people literally won't know what you're talking about.
Whatever.
Toriko's the food one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, Build King is garbage, but I remember reading like the first chapter of Toriko and being like, why is Build King so much worse than this? What the happened?
The art is so much worse. I guess maybe he hurt his hand and he can't draw that way anymore, but it's astounding how much worse the art is.
Yeah, it seems like when you get caught for pedophilia, you wind up your technique in Shonen Jump drops dramatically. See also Gunblaze West by the author of Rurouni Kenshin.
Another pedophile.
Who's a horrific pedophile. Yeah. Doesn't that suck?
Well, I'm not watching.
Yeah, so I can never reread Rurouni Kenshin now because of it.
That does suck because I've heard so much from the community that that's a really good manga, that's a really good anime. Banging. I'm not watching it now.
It was extremely important to me as a teenager. But yeah, no. Ton of child porn. And then they were like, yeah, keep working on this shonen manga anthology that is primarily targeted towards kids, Mr. Child Porn owner.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. No problem. Come on back to work. Yeah.
You've shouted out your team, and I think it's lovely what you've got now. You've got a translator, you've got a historian. Manga Max, I really want to have a conversation with that person because they sound so cool.
Yeah, we can definitely give you their contact information.
Manga Max.
I think would be great guests.
That's what I'm calling them.
Manga Max. I'm going to call them that too.
Manga Max.
That's like the wrestling name. Like, and here comes Manga Maxie B.
He's drawing his pages with blood, brother.
Oh, God.
You talked about the origin about Shonen Flop, but how do you go about sourcing what's going to be the next episode's topic? How does that work? Do you literally look through the proverbial garbage bin of manga and go, that one looks good? How's that process?
So we actually, Tucker and MaxiB actually help us decide, just because they have such a wide variety. I've also done some research. I want to give a shout out to Generic Man. That's actually what his name is, who literally created a list of every series that's ever run in Shonen Jump. And then we use that because essentially we have a few criteria. So we look for series that are less than 35 chapters, never had like a notable adaptation, and are fully available in English. And that gets you to about 30 or 40 series in the lifetime of Jump. But of course, Jump is canceling about 6 or so series a year, so you never have to worry about it. So that's it. And then generally, what we do is we reach out to the guest to find out, is there any particular topics or series that they like? Because then sometimes we'll either say, let's pick something in a genre, or sometimes it'll be like the same offer. So for instance, on our Instant Bullet episode, we knew that they said, oh, one of the series they literally listed was Love is War, and we knew, oh, we actually had literally been saving covering Instant Bullet for someone who said, I like Love is War. Same with Artista episode where they said, oh, or I really like Spy Family. So it's the same thing where we'll really try and we really want to make sure that the series is matching something, but sometimes also it's literally, this just got canceled. We want to cover it as soon as possible. So sometimes it's literally just, hey, this guy axed last week. Do you care if we talk about it? It's the most recently canceled thing. And then, you just cover it.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And I mean, with Shonen Jump being as huge as it is, you're never really going to run out of content to cover.
Well,
yeah,
true. Although I will say, one of the sad things is David mentioned that it has to be like translated. And here's the thing: Shonen Jump has been running for a long ass time. Like, has it been 50 years? If it hasn't been 50 years, it's not been that much less than 50 years.
It's at least since the 80s.
At least since the 80s. And Americans only have started giving a about manga in like back like since like the early 2000s, basically. Like maybe even mid 2000s. So as a result, there are like 30 years of Shonen Jump history made with all these authors that are like famous now, and they have these interesting canceled manga that you just can't get. You cannot find in English. It doesn't exist. Like, nobody's translated them. Nobody cares about them.
Yeah.
But
sorry.
No, but still, as David mentioned, we still have enough canceled manga, and Shonen Jump is still canceling a load of manga because they've recently started 4 manga series, and all of them seem like they're gonna get canceled.
Yeah, like sometimes though it really sucks. Like there's a series that would be perfect to talk about if it was translated. So for instance, we had a character, Xander Cannon, who literally has a character. He has a series. He's a comic book artist, and he created a series called Kaiju Max, which is about a prison for kaijus. And we said, let's do a kaiju manga. So Shonen Jump has one kaiju manga they've ever run. And guess what? Only 3 chapters of it are translated out of 15. And we were like, are you kidding me? Like, so we actually had to go out of the magazine to find a kaiju series, and we found one called Monster Tamer Girls, which is about cute girls taking care of kaiju monsters. It was a great time, but we were like, really, there is one kaiju series and they didn't translate
it. That's annoying because a lot of this is just stuff outside of your control.
Yeah.
I mean, even Funimation had to start from somewhere.
Exactly.
So
get on it, translators. Get on this.
I mean, honestly, if we ever get enough on Patreon, that probably is one of our stretch goals. Is we'll just because I think it's like $25 a page or $25 a chat. If it's $25 a page, we're not making them my translate. I think it's about $25 a chapter for an amateur. So it's like if you got like $500 a month on Patreon, we probably could try and get it to work. But right now, since we are definitely not in a spot where we can pay, but it would be awesome if we ever somehow got like $1,000 a month on Patreon and actually just say, pick a series and we will literally pay someone to translate it.
Like,
so we can cover it.
Oh man, like even if it's just like put out a document telling me which word bubble and stuff goes to what. Actually, that would suck.
I would not read it. Yeah, imagine telling guests, oh, here's your companion document.
Yeah, don't do that.
Never mind.
Never mind.
That is not manga.
That is not manga. Yeah. I realized halfway through saying it. Oh wait, no, that's a terrible idea.
That's growth. You knew in the middle of your sentence that it wasn't a good idea.
Character development, that. Which a lot of series don't have.
No. Exactly. That's why they're cancelled.
Exactly.
Oh god, yeah. Speaking of like insane but weird glow ups and stuff. We read something by the guy who did Soul Eater and Fire Force called Biichi.
Oh,
Yeah. It's very bad. Absolutely terrible.
so
We had
what's that
our
all about?
guest. Our guest read 1 in 4 chapters because of how slow the plot moved, and we couldn't tell.
We didn't know. If he didn't tell us,
He just
we wouldn't
skipped
have known.
chapters, and we just didn't notice.
Did not notice. But it did give us
Oh my god.
one of my favorite Shonen Flop memes, though, where towards the end, one of the main bad guys is like, well, you know, I follow the 8th deadly sin. Justice.
And he says it completely seriously. Like the offer was like, I am the smartest person ever to think of an 8th deadly sin.
I am so good at this.
This is what a 22-year-old making their first manga is going to come up with, right?
Yeah.
That's a 12-year-old writing a comic book.
Yeah. And then he makes Soul Eater, which was great.
You know what? Sometimes they need to fail in order to succeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we see that all the time. There are authors that have really interesting ideas, but they execute them very poorly in their first attempt. So, like, for instance, a creator of My Hero Academia created a manga about zoos, and the animals at night turn into people. And so it kind of looks like he actually has recycled characters from that manga. So,
David,
like,
what's the name of that manga?
Ozu.
No.
Omega Doki Zoo.
Yeah, hey, you did it. Holy
and I've been practicing. So anyway, because it's interesting. So in that case, he just wanted to draw like a ton of characters and have character designs. But as a zoo, it means it's like, I get it, but it feels forced. And none of these characters feel like they really have a purpose in the story. But then he made My Hero Academia, where if it's a world of superheroes, you don't need to really have any plot infrastructure for why people are in these interesting outfits, having superpowers and doing whatnot, because it's already built into the setting. And that was really a lesson where he said, I want to create really interesting designs. Here's an idea that completely lets me just go carte blanche on designing cool characters and not really having to care about their backgrounds.
That is, by the way, literally the reason why X-Men exists.
Yeah, because they were too tired of making background explanations for superpowers.
Like they got to a point where they realized that every superhero was like, oh, he was just a guy who got hit by some toxic waste or something, and transformed. And they're like, this is lame and boring. Let's just make like a catch-all so we don't have to come up with these ever again.
Yeah. By the way, for the record, I don't know how big a fan you are of My Hero Academia, but you know the character Gang Orca from My Hero Academia? It's not hard. He's the one who's literally a giant whale.
Who's a gangster.
Yeah.
A whale gangster.
I don't think I'm that far. But yeah, no,
okay.
continue.
Now, if you run into him, he is one of the characters that was recycled from an earlier series.
Oh, dope.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Which is good because he's like the best design.
Oh, he's definitely the best character design. But he's like one of the main bad guys of Ozu. Oh,
almost got it a second time, David.
You
did it. There we go. Omega Donkey Zoo. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, when it comes to these terrible manga, have there been manga that you thought shouldn't have been cancelled, or you thought got a really harsh deal?
Yeah. Jordan, why don't you kick some off? Do you want to list some, I guess, kind of the very exclusive manga we actually like club?
So, I think the first manga that we were like, holy this is good, and it still might be the best manga we've read, is Time Paradox Ghostwriter.
Yeah.
But Time Paradox Ghostwriter is a series about where the main character is a Shonen Jump writer. His manga, he keeps making flops.
Yeah.
He keeps getting canceled, or he doesn't even get a chance. So one day he wakes up and a lightning bolt hits his microwave, and inside the microwave is a copy of Shonen Jump from 10 years in the future. And so he just starts copying the manga that's in there.
That's brilliant.
And it kind of spirals out from there. Like it wound up being like actually a very interesting manga about art and the creative process. And Yeah, no, it's good, although it almost becomes better because it's shorter. Another manga that we loved, that was Mora King.
Yeah.
Mora
Okay.
King.
Oh
Mora
god,
King.
the
So
greatest
we-
King of the forest, Mora King.
We need one of our patrons here after.
So,
Oh, that's nice.
so do you know how stag beetles are huge in Japan? Like they're like a huge deal for kids.
Right.
Like
Yes.
yeah, like little boys will often like catch stag beetles and have them wrestle with each other. I'm pretty sure that's where the concept of Pokemon actually came from.
Yeah.
You're not far off. Yeah.
Yeah, and so in this one, this kid gets a stag beetle egg, and the stag beetle hatches, and it's a man. But it's also still a stag beetle with magic powers because he is Mora King, the king of the forest. And it wound up being just like a really legitimately funny, adorable manga where they would just introduce all these anthropomorphic bugs and then basically start talking about like the real life facts about the bugs. It was like genuinely very delightful to read.
That actually sounds really good. To be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, Jordan, do you want to tell them about your favorite joke of all time in Mora King, if you remember it?
You're gonna have to remind me.
It's the
I'll
Dragon
remember
Ball
it.
Z parody. When the butterfly guy gets his ass beat.
Oh my god, I don't. How do I not remember?
Okay, Jordan's useless. So anyway, there's
I'm
one of the
useless.
characters is a butterfly, and he gets his ass beat. And Morkin comes and like, you know that famous scene in like Namek when Frieza beats the shit out of Vegeta and he's dying,
Mhm.
and Goku like buries him and it's like very solemn. So
Yeah.
they recreate that scene in Morking, except the butterfly guy isn't dead. He just got his ass beat. So you have like this like conscious butterfly guy buried in the dirt now, and he's just like, "What are you doing?"
Oh my god.
Oh,
I
man.
personally love Dragon Ball Z, so I
Yeah,
really
so
want to read this now.
it's got a great. It also has a Bankai system too. Now that I think about it,
I just have to reread Mora King. Apparently, I don't remember that much about it. What?
yeah, it was great. I don't know how much time we have in this topic, but I'll name one other favorite where I absolutely still think to this day about Double Taisei.
Double
which-
Taisei was so good.
So, are you familiar with shogi?
No.
So shogi is like Japanese chess, and the
Oh,
best way
shogi,
I will
sorry.
describe it is it's the energy of the Fast and the Furious, but about Japanese chess, where
Cool.
it's about this guy who's like fused with his twin brother, and they switch places at night. But everything about the series is insane. There is a guy who is in bondage gear who gets more and more extreme over time whenever he loses, to the point where he just wears a burlap sack. That's it. He just is wearing a sack over his body, and there's a time skip where the main character is in prison. He's playing shogi
What?
against himself in jail. And it has now become a fashion. You see like one of the main characters walking down the street, and you just see people in the background wearing burlap sacks over themselves.
It became a fashion statement.
It became a fashion statement. And we just had the time of our life talking about where this series could have gone because no idea was too crazy. There was a guy who was like so extreme, he would play the shogi piece and the board would like crater. He would destroy the board because he was that strong. And like his clothes would explode. And we were like 100% Jordan, like 100%, no discussion needed. This is a fact. If that series had gone long enough, they were going to go to space and play shogi in space. Like that's
Yo,
just a fact. They were
that's
going
just
to go into
natural.
space.
That's
That's
just
fact.
natural.
Yeah, it's
That's
just
for evolution of the
absolutely
story.
the dumbest idea taken to the most logical extreme. We're like, how can we make Japanese chess the most extreme sport possible? And it was a great time.
It's phenomenal manga. That here's the thing, like Time Paradox Ghostwriter was amazing, but it got the exact run it needed. It kind
Yeah.
of ended exactly when it should have. Double Taisei should have kept going.
It had under 100 chapters.
Double
Like,
Taisei, they could have kept coming up with insane. I think.
like they go to space. There could have been like a bomb defusal where he has to play shogi to defuse like a bomb, and like there's wires connected to the pieces, and he has to like play in a certain
Such-
way. Like there's probably would have been like a monkey that knew how to play shogi
Mhm.
and like that. Like it's like you remember Yu-Gi-Oh GX and how
Yes.
like everyone had like a stupid gimmick of how they played Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
Same thing. It would have been the same thing, but about chess, and it would have been awesome.
It's like it's like insane Hikaru no Go.
Yeah.
You know, like if Hikaru no Go went on if that could go on for like hundreds and hundreds of chapters, there's no reason why Double Taisei couldn't have done that too.
Exactly.
Oh my god, the series owns.
That actually sounds amazing, and maybe you two should be manga consultants in some point in the future, because playing shogi in space, that's amazing.
Shonen Jump, hire us. We'll tell you to stop
Yeah.
making like the pedophile stuff and tell you to keep making the go into space stuff happen.
Heavy emphasis on English translation, same day releases. Look, it's just money on the table.
Yeah. Get us as editors. We'll be good editors. You know, we'll tell you to stop doing like the exam arcs. Nobody likes those. Why do you keep doing them? No one likes them.
Look, you peaked with the Chunin exam arc.
Literally, yes. You peaked with the Chunin exam arc. It has never been as good as the Chunin exam arc since then.
It's not been done any better. No. It's not been done.
Hey guys, I'm a meathead gamer, probably just like you. I understand the importance of playing Stellar Blade, but I also understand the importance of being in a squat rack. So I got the perfect programs for you. Hammerhead, Shogun, the Tenacity Strength Hypertrophy Method, all of these designed to get you bigger, to get you stronger, and to be like one of these characters on Stellar Blade that don't look like one of these ugly ass monsters. So hit me up at Tenacity Strong and get a copy. It will do nothing but help you achieve your physical goals, and you'll get better at your gaming goals. Because when you look good, you play good. All right? Y'all have a good one.
Cool Shock BT got like sort of an update. That was Araki's first manga. It's like, if you like JoJo, I actually highly recommend reading Cool Shock BT, because the first chapter is basically his attempt at like part 1 of JoJo. Like it feels like a dry run.
Okay.
Like the main character is literally named Koichi Hirose, who is a character from part 4. If you didn't remember that,
it has, by the way, the cutest reason for the series being like how it explains that it's getting canceled, and that the entire series is framework about him talking about BT and like his adventures with BT. And the last one is like
BT is just like this weird. He's Dio. He's like 60,
Dio.
He's basically like 8-year-old Dio.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Imaginary friend. Yeah.
And so, and he just says, "This is all I'm allowed to tell you about BT," is how it ends, which I thought was really cute.
You know what? I like that. I do like when real life is explained in the story. Games have, done that pretty well recently. So yeah, that's quite sweet. Yeah, I like that.
David, but
what's up?
Well, he mentioned when real life kind of events are told in a story. David, can you think of one manga that started just talking about the maybe the editor and the situations of cancellation?
Another one is Monsters Guild Red Hood, where this series is the most blatantly this author hated his editor, in that literally the series kind of turns to shit. There's a forced exam arc and it just gets really shit. By the way, if you like thick women, this series, like, I'm not talking about like large boobs and large butt.
No, giga thick.
Debonair Diamond, like,
David has I realized like a little while ago, David just has a crush on Debonair Diamond.
She's great.
She's great.
She's literally like, those videos of like women that can break like a watermelon with their thighs. She's built like that. Which you never see in manga, so you got to respect the culture. So
well drawn too, legitimately well drawn. All right.
Yeah, and it's got a very fun art style. Yeah, and it's got like this really gritty heavy metal style art style. And so though, this series just goes off the rails, and there's a book, and they're like, the audience of this book isn't liking the way the plot is going. They keep demanding changes, and you have to keep changing things. And one character literally is like, wait, wasn't your personality a lot more interesting before? What's happened to you? And literally the manga, like the book gets canceled, and that's why the series is ending, because the outside forces are forcing changes in reality, and the characters are rebelling against it.
Ooh, that's pretty cool.
Literally, he talks about how much he hates his editor in the manga.
Yeah. There, one of my favorite scenes in it though is like, do you know about how Shonen Jump hates lesbian kissing? Like they just don't like depictions of homosexuality. So there's one moment where Debonair Diamond, there is no in-universe justification for why this happens. She just turns to this woman and is like, "Hey, I know you're not gonna like this," and then she picks her up and kisses her, and it's just doesn't make sense in context, but outside with like meta knowledge, that's like him talking to his editor and going, "Hey, I know you don't like girls kissing, but deal with this. Deal with it, okay?"
Holy shit.
It was kicked ass.
Right?
That's kind of badass.
It is. It was like, hell yeah, man. He's like, I got one chapter left. I'm having girls kissing in Shonen Jump. You.
Going out swinging.
Right on. No, he went out swinging. I don't know if there's any other mangaka we've read that has gone out swinging more than the guy in Hunter's Guild.
I don't know. I mean, A Gravity Boys with the magic penis arc was pretty. I knew I'm getting canceled. I don't really care.
Yeah. Okay, I'll give you that. It's that. A Gravity Boys Stealth Symphony.
Oh God. And Instant Bullet also has a insane ending.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh man.
We're not gonna ruin Stealth Symphony is by the creator of Durarara and Baccano. It is absolutely crazy town bananas. I would recommend reading that cold because the ending is just that's the whole thing. 90% of the enjoyment of that series is just reading the last like 4 chapters.
The first part's pretty decent. Middle part sucks, and then the ending is amazing. Like,
Yeah.
Do you think being cancelled has actually improved the quality of some of these manga?
I mean, sometimes it does force them to do plot stuff that they otherwise were going to draw out. But I'm trying to I think Hard Bullet Cop and Dolphin is an interesting example where the manga was clearly designed to run like 200 chapters, and that's another very good series. And the author was very clever of how he took existing plot threads and repurposed them to be able to end the series. Like some characters are clearly kind of changed what their purpose in the plot was just because they were already there. So I think he did a great job of that, but I don't know if there's any series I would say I'm glad it got canceled because it was able to end, except for maybe Time Paradox Ghostwriter, where that series didn't have 50 chapters in it. I honestly don't know how you could have made it keep going. And so by being canceled, it actually turned into kind of a mini series that was exactly the length it should have been.
Yeah. I should say we've noticed there are about 3 different ways that canceled manga can end. All right. You got one where it's like, oh wow, the bad guy just showed up. I thought we were gonna have to do all this other shit. I guess there you go. There he is. Another one is the bad guy didn't show up, but you know what? We're ready for him. And then what is I mean, there's the time skip. The time skip is extremely common.
Yeah.
But it is also like yeah, it's sometimes it just ends, just like fizzles out.
Oh, they go out
Yeah,
with a whimper.
it's a real shame.
Just, but I mentioned Tokyo Shinobi Squad earlier on. The way that one ends is pretty fantastic. Where they're trying to fight some vague threat, and then Jim Naruto's teacher shows up, and he's like, "Hey, I heard you guys need a final boss." Basically,
yeah.
He's like, "Yo, Jim, let's just fight just for old times." So there's just like 3 chapters where they're having this weird fight, like kind of off screen, and then it ends
off screen.
It's like it might have been on screen, and I just didn't pay attention because it was boring and lame.
I just love the idea of, hey, I heard you were looking for a final boss. Let's have a fight.
Yeah, let's do it. That's basically what happened.
It's just the most stripped down version of what shonen manga is at the end of the day. So I will ask you both this. If you've already answered this previously, then that's fine. But what is the single worst manga you've ever read?
I mean, like I said, I think just on principle of it, the school judgment is just atrocious because of all the pedophilia.
But
Solid.
yeah, I mean, yeah, in terms of just like content, I say that might be the worst. I mean, like the thing is, I didn't really I don't think either of us made a big habit of reading awful manga till we started this show. So, the worst manga we've read have definitely been things that we've covered. Man, it structurally though, oh man, it's hard to determine the most structural atrocity. It might be Bokusan still.
Bokusan's that series sucked. Bad art, terrible plot. I mean, Build King is really the quintessential bad series.
Build King feels right. Build King feels like the right answer. You know, even like there's just so much stupid in that manga.
Yeah, and I will say we actually every year, as part of our anniversary, we will rank every series we've read, and so we definitely need to re-rank things. But right now, go School Judgment, then Build King, then Bokusan as our bottom 3.
Yeah, and then of course you got other things like, oh my god,
Bone Collection.
Bone Collection sucks, trash, absolute garbage. That series.
Beast Children, rugby manga.
Beast Children is trash, but I have like a love for it.
Yeah,
because it's so stupid and goofy, but also like harmless, kind of.
Yeah, Philosophy School.
Philosophy School is what I was just thinking of. That manga is atrocious.
It's by the creator of
Kuroko's
Haiku.
Basketball.
What?
No, Haikyuu.
Yeah, Haikyuu. But it's about like this like really stupid, spoopy horror that's not good, and like there's like a character who was like locked in like a room locked in a basement for like 3 days and has no psychological trauma from it. She just like goes to school the next day and is fine. And we're like, really? Like nothing? Like no repercussions of this?
Yeah, no,
That's bad writing.
There's manga we've read with terrible writing that usually has better art. That art is just some of the worst I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes the art can redeem poor writing and vice versa.
Yeah.
Bad art can be redeemed with really good writing.
Oh, yeah.
Bad art and bad writing, I mean, you're onto a loser there. There's no redeemable factor at that point. It's almost, I mean, it seems like you've gone through quite a lot of manga in the years that you've been running. I mean, it kind of makes sense to have some sort of ironic ceremony to like determine the worst ones. Tell me
there is no irony. How dare you? This is deadly serious.
Tell me a little bit about the floppies.
Jordan, tell them about it.
Oh, well, the floppies are the foremost recognized like award ceremony in manga. It's extremely prestigious. People, we have like a team of hundreds of people in the academy who vote on the floppies. It's like goes like Oscars, Emmys, and then right after the Emmys in terms of importance, it's the floppies.
Damn.
The floppies.
Yeah, no, it's just our jokey like yearly award ceremony where we just make dumb jokes about manga and put fart sound effects in our award ceremony.
So you talked a little bit about the Libertarian Award.
Yes.
What other type of categories are in the floppies?
Oh, goodness gracious. Well, we have like best art, best one of my favorite categories. So we have best manga, worst manga, and then best worst manga.
Best worst manga.
Yes. So that's like the manga that's bad, but it's like fun to read.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a lot of fun though. So like for instance, we actually have people give like acceptance speeches. So Tucker and Maxi B.
A couple more questions. We've talked a lot about the flops, but what about manga that you actually love? What are your favorite manga, whether it's your
Chainsaw
Man? Okay. Top 3, top 5. I mean, whatever manga that you've been enjoying. Chainsaw Man, the Jordan.
Here's my top 3. Chainsaw Man, Chainsaw Man, Chainsaw Man.
Oh yeah, I thought you were gonna say Hunter x Hunter for the third one.
No, Hunter x Hunter is like the best anime I've ever seen.
Yeah, that art style is.
Yeah, I definitely think like Hunter x Hunter is great. One Piece is great. I mean, I would say it might be easier to just say what we really enjoy that's in Shonen Jump right now that's currently running. And so in that regard, I would say the stuff I'm currently reading is, of course, Jujutsu Kaisen, One Piece, and then actually High School Family is fantastic. We actually did a recommendation episode on it. On our Discord channel, we have a dedicated top secret channel, which is just posting pictures of the cat named Gomez from that series. And it's our best-selling ever piece of merch where it is a shirt that it's a three wolf shirt.
Yes,
but the moon is Gomez.
Shirt. Yeah,
and that's our best-selling piece of merchandise ever. Is the Gomez moon shirt. So that's another really fun, wholesome series. Sakamoto Days is also great. Let's see. Mashal is also really fun. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, Witch Watch. Witch Watch is another absolute favorite. That is one of the best comedy series running in Shonen Jump. I think if we still did recommendation episodes, just because we felt it wasn't quite the purpose of the show, I think Jordan can agree we would have done a recommendation episode on Witch Watch because it's just such a fun, silly series.
I feel like we did do a recommendation episode.
We did a mini recommendation on Patreon, but we didn't do like a full-fledged, like, we'll read 30 chapters series.
Gotcha, because I was like, wait a minute, I definitely recorded something about talking about good.
Yeah,
Witch Watch is what do we? Yeah, no, Witch Watch is great. What's manga? I don't read manga. What do you think I am? Some kind of
Jordan doesn't read manga and I don't watch anime, which is actually true.
Yeah. Look, I will admit, since reading like bad manga has become a thing that I do consistently, my reading of manga, like in terms of like a leisurely activity, has dropped a little bit. But no, like I'm like not joking when I say that I love Chainsaw Man. David got me on it where it's like a joke on our show that Chainsaw Man is like the best manga ever, but it's not really that much of a joke. But yeah, like aside from that, I mean, like I'm also just terrible at finishing things. So like Berserk is absolutely amazing. I haven't finished Berserk.
Yeah.
I mean, neither did the author, but ayo, I made myself sad. But
I'm upset now.
It's sad. It's very sad. But
Tagashi's not allowed to die.
No. Also, like one of the recent ones that have been amazing, but like I couldn't read in one sitting, even though I could have read it in one sitting, was Blood on the Tracks, which do you know what that is?
No, I've never heard of that.
It is a really intense, incredibly drawn and paced manga, basically about from the perspective of a boy who's basically being abused by his mom, like by his extremely mentally ill mom. It is terrifying. It is one of the scariest things I've ever read. And oh man, what's another like incredible one? I just wanted to say, oh yeah, a little while ago I got completely obsessed with Baki.
Oh god, Jordan is Baki obsession.
Well, until like the third. I was reading it nonstop until like the middle of the third or fourth series where I was just like, okay, it's kind of slowed down. I can't, this is kind of boring now. And, you know, but I read like 3 series nonstop to get to that point. So, I mean, you know.
I enjoy it. I've heard a lot of good things about Baki, and I'm pretty sure it's on Netflix here. So I do need to check it out, but I don't want to watch anime anymore. So I'm going to read it and...
read the manga.
Yeah, that's what I tell everyone.
And start from the first series. I've heard people say, oh yeah, start from like the second or third Baki series. No! Don't hard skip Baki. The first series is the best series.
I'm not going to lie. I don't have time for this Star Wars formula. Like, I'm going to watch it from episode 1, or read it from chapter 1, I should say. And if it doesn't make sense, I'll drop it like JoJo's. It's fine.
Yeah. Oh no, you dropped JoJo.
Oh, I really. Yeah, I really.
Where did you drop JoJo?
I gave it like 10 episodes or something. It was just.
Oh no!
Yeah, I like the first couple of episodes. I thought, okay, this is fine. This is slow. It's building to something. But
Yeah.
episode 10, it still felt like we're slowly building to something. And maybe it's because of the era it was released in, but
So the thing
couldn't
that's
get through it.
great about part 1 of JoJo is that Araki agreed with you. And so suddenly part 1 ends and part 2 begins with a totally different protagonist in a different era doing different things, and it's way better. Like
Yeah, part 2 is the best.
well, I mean, I think we would
It's up
agree
there.
with
It's a good
maybe
part.
part 4.
I mean, let's
part
be-
2 part
Also,
2 is
Joestar is the best Joestar protagonist.
part 2 is the first great JoJo part, I would
Yes.
say. Like
Okay.
part 1 is definitely interesting to go back to. I definitely enjoy reading it and watching it after I have watched other parts. But like if you watch the anime, they shortened the first part because that is notoriously like the reason why people talk about part skippers is entirely because of the first part.
Yeah, part 1's not great.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Interesting, but not
Yeah.
great. No.
Honestly, I thought there was something wrong with me because I'm seeing everyone talk about JoJo as being amazing. Like, this is slow. They're talking about football or rugby or something, and it's not compelling. This is bad.
Part 1 is slow as but if you got 10 episodes in, I think you're not far from the beginning of part 2. Because again, they shortened it because everybody has had like the same criticism that you are
Yeah.
saying now, which is that part 1 is slow as
Okay, I might give it a rewatch. Or I might. Is it worth reading it? Part 1.
I'd just say
Part
just watch
1
it.
is way longer in the manga. They shortened it. I would not. I would definitely stick with the anime if you're having trouble. If you're having trouble getting through the anime version of part 1, it's not going to get better in the manga version. It's just not.
All right, fair enough. I'll rewatch. It's been so long. I'm gonna have to start from episode 1 again, so that torture has to start.
Hey, that's fair enough.
Oh man, you mentioned how your podcast started in the pandemic, the lockdown era, whatever you want to call it, which a horrible time for everyone. But you found some positivity in that. How was it kind of transitioning your podcast post-pandemic era? Was there any major changes that had to be done? Talk to me about that.
No.
Well, one big thing we got I would say one big thing is we got an editor that's just us, Dylan from Anime Out of Context. A shout out to him just because now there's so much going on in the world. It's harder just to have the time to just sit down, do nothing, and edit. So it's really great having about 2 to 4 additional hours of editing assistance for every episode.
Usually when people say, "Oh, things changed when the pandemic ended or whatever," they mean like, "Oh, I went back to work or something," or "Oh, I got a new job or something." I'm still unemployed, and David is just like David has like the same amount of sick days and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So nothing has changed really.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, not on like a major scale, but still transitioning back into normal everyday life has been you've had to get an editor and expand the team to free up your real everyday lives.
Yeah, no, I got you.
Well, I think we'll call an end to things there, unless you had anything else you wanted to shout out. Any one bad Shonen Flop manga that you insist people read, if there is just one?
I think Build King, it's like, I think that's that. If you want a taste of really bad, that's what you do. That's what you read, right, Jordan?
Yeah, I mean, I would almost go Tokyo Shinobi Squad.
That's true, but Tokyo Shinobi Squad has the content subject issue of being very racist.
but Build King's made by a pedophile. I mean,
That's true.
Look, I'm sorry about a lot of bad manga.
Maybe
racist.
read Beast Children then, because that's bad but inoffensive.
Beast Children, Super Smartphone is
maybe SWAT. SWAT is terrible but not offensively bad.
The thing about Super Smartphone is that it works so amazingly as a parody of manga, like completely by accident.
Yeah.
And the thing about like Beast Children is a good recommendation. SWAT and Zon are like painful to read. They suck to read. Like Super Smartphone is not painful to read, it's just dumb.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's kind of the thing. Yeah.
Super Smartphone.
Yeah.
It's called, that's also
what
fully
a stupid name.
It's
what a
so
name. Yeah. Oh, what's better than a smartphone? A super smartphone.
Super smart. Thank you very much for joining me today, David and Jordan.
You're very
Would you would you like to basically spread the message about Shonen Flop and how people can keep up with you and stuff like your Patreon, merch, where they can get stuff to support you?
Spreading the good news, yeah.
Absolutely. So you can find us on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast. Our website is shonenflop.com. That's SHONENFLOP. We're also on Twitter at ShonenFlopcast. And we also have a super awesome Discord. We have almost 500 people in it, which is absolutely mind-blowing. So I always love to have more folks in there. We've got a monthly movie night. We have a ton of just people talking about manga. We even have a channel where people are making their own manga series and discussing ideas. And of course, so if you really want to help us support us, it's we are getting close to our next goal at our on our Patreon at patreon.com/shonenflop, where we're going to be reviewing a manga I created called Basketball Grandma, or aka I Can't Find Love Because My Grandma is a 6'8" tall former basketball player. You're gonna have to wait to find out more about that manga, but Jordan can testify. It's a fun read. I think
it
Jordan
is.
will say.
It is 100% real.
Yes, this is a real manga I made.
It is a real manga that David wrote.
Yes.
It is real. That's all I'll say.
Yes. Real good, right, Jordan?
Real existing.
It's one of the most manga of all time.
It is definitely a manga of all time. But also, like, I mentioned I'm an artist. I've been making abstract paintings. Somebody commissioned me to make an abstract painting every month this year, which is absolutely insane. Check out my progress. My Instagram is Jordan Forbes Art. Check out my art portfolio website, jordanforbes.art. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, thank you very much once again, and make sure whether you're watching or listening, check out Shonen Flop, one of the funniest pods that is out there. They made me laugh so many times.
Oh, that's so sweet of you.
Manga.
Woo! Yeah, that's our goal. Hell yeah.
And you can keep up to date with the Streamcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, give us a thumbs up. Leave a comment. What's the worst manga you've ever read? Let us know. Subscribe. Hit the bell so you get every video as soon as it goes live. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, Streamcast_. We're on Twitch, Streamcast TV. We have a website, thestreamcast.co.uk, where you can read our gaming blogs and be the first to know about our upcoming events. We are on all the audio-only platforms as well. So Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever it is that you listen to your pods. Search Streamcast and follow or subscribe. And anything else you could check out on our website, thestreamcast.co.uk. So get to following. Keep up to date with the Streamcast. Take care of yourselves and your loved ones. Stay safe. And we'll see you on the next Streamcast.
Yeah. So is your name like a pun on Dreamcast? Do you talk about like the Dreamcast a lot? I know you're a gaming podcast.